Imagine sitting at a table, a pencil in your hand, a worksheet in front of you, and black symbols on white paper, and you're told to read, you're told to write, you're told to focus, but no one explains to you why. No one explains what it means. No one explains how it connects to your work. And now imagine everyone thinks you're being naughty. They say, he's not paying attention. She is lazy. He doesn't like studying. But what if the truth is that the task simply does not make sense? And today we are going to talk about table tasks, academic work like reading, writing, mathematics, and why many special needs children appear to be disinterested with the tasks. Are they misbehaving, or are we misunderstanding how their brain connects to meaning? Now, let's get something very clear. Most special needs children, including children with autism, they can learn. The question is not can they learn, but the question is, does the task make sense to them? Many table tasks are abstract. Letters, numbers, worksheets, instructions, these are symbolic systems. But for many autistic children, learning starts with concrete experience. Things like touching, things like movement, visual patterns, physical cause and effect. Now, if a child does not understand why am I circling this, or why am I matching this with this, or what does this word do, then the brain disconnects. And when the brain disconnects, behavior follows. Not because of defiance, but because of confusion. Let me tell you a story about one of my students. 4 years old, diagnosed with autism. At the table, no interest. Worksheets, minimal response. Reading attempts, frustrations. But inside the pool, he walks in by himself, and what he does is that he dips his entire body into the pool, he flips his body around, holds his breath, and come back up in a back float position. At 4 years old. That is body awareness, that is sequencing, that is breath control, that is motor planning, that is confidence. So tell me, is that a child who cannot learn? No. That is a child who learns through movement and sensory experience. The water makes sense to him. It gives immediate feedback. It is predictable. It is physical. It is real. While worksheets are not to him. So, what is actually happening in the brain? Many autistic children process information very differently. Now, they often struggle with abstract symbols. They need a lot of visual structure. They need the systems to be predictable. They learn through repetitions. They learn through sensory input. And a worksheet to them is very symbolic. But a toy is very meaningful. So when we see a child build symmetrical Lego patterns, perfectly aligned by the color, that is math. That is categorization. That is spatial reasoning. Now, when a child creates detailed Play-Doh structures, that is fine motor development. That is planning. That is creativity. The problem is not intelligence. The problem is translation. We are speaking in symbols. Their brain is speaking in systems and patterns. So, how do we fix this? Now, we don't remove academics. We translate them. And how we can do it is a step-by-step basis. And we start off with matching. Now, before reading words, teach matching. For example, we match a red car to another red car. We match a big block to another big block. We match an animal toy to another identical animal toy. Matching builds visual discrimination, and it teaches the kid to say that these two things are the same. And that is the foundation of reading, because reading is matching. This symbol equals to this sound. Next, we teach the child to categorize. Categorizing or understanding relationships. Example, we use the toys. We put all the farm animals together. We put all the vehicles together. We separate the big dinosaurs from the small dinosaurs. We sort out Legos by color. And this teaches classification. Math is classification. Language is classification. The brain learns through grouping patterns. So we teach them to categorize things. After teaching them how to categorize, we teach them functional purpose. So instead of telling them to write the letter A, let's try to say, let's make a treasure map. So we draw a road, label A for airport, B for bridge. Now the letter has a purpose. So instead of counting numbers on worksheet, Maybe we can try to count how many blocks do we need to build a tower taller than you. Now, math has meaning, and children engage when the task connects to their world. Let me share this story. I have a student diagnosed with ADHD, Dyslexia and mild autism, and he couldn't sit still. Reading, avoidance. Math, frustration. Table work, almost impossible. 5 minutes at a table for him is like 1 hour to him. Was he lazy? No. His brain was overloaded. Now, for children with ADHD, sitting still is very difficult. For children with dyslexia, decoding symbols is exhausting. For children with autism, abstract tasks without clear meaning create anxiety. So instead of forcing worksheets, we removed the table. We started with puzzles, just puzzles. At first it was simple. We feed the puzzles, look at the shapes, we match the edges, and then we find the patterns. What were we actually building? It's actually visual tracking. We sustain attention, problem solving, completion, satisfaction, and most importantly, success. Then we added stories, but not reading stories, we create stories. So when he plays the puzzle piece, we would say, who lives here? What happens next? We build imagination around images, and from images, we move to words. So instead of read this word, I would tell him that, what do you think this word is about? If the word was dog, we didn't drill just phonics immediately. We created a word. This dog is guarding a castle. We'll talk about, you see, this dog, this word D-O-G, opposite in your neighbor's house, there is something called woof, woof. There's a dog. And that dog over there is a dog that you're reading over here. And then we connect every single thing into one entire story, that everywhere he goes, he is relating that particular sound, that particular place, that particular memory with that particular structure or pattern of words that he's saying. We progressed from 3-letter words to 4-letter words to high-frequency words. Each word became alive. Each word had a purpose. Each word connected to emotion. And something incredible happened. He started asking about words. At the toilet door, he would read M-E-N. He would tell me, hey, teacher Kevin, that's man. And then he go to the other toilet, he read ladies, but he couldn't understand the word ladies. But now he start to get interested in the word ladies. So he says, hey, what is this? L-A-D-I-E-S. And I'll go and tell him these are ladies. So his world has now expanded. When for once that everything looks like symbolic things that he could not understand, that did not make sense to him, that does not even catch his attention. Now everywhere he go, he start to notice words. So for the first time, words make sense to him. They are not any random symbols anymore. They were stories, they were clues, they were tools to understand the word that he was once confused in. That is when motivation is born, not when we force repetition, but when meaning clicks. Today he's excited to look at words around him because reading is no longer a task, it is a discovery. So why does this work? Because we followed the neurological ladder. Visual pattern first, then sustained focus through interest, then story building, and then word association with emotion, and then environmental reading. This is called contextual learning. And children with dyslexia and ADHD often need emotion, movement, narrative, purpose before it comes to symbols. So when a word connects to a story, the brain stores it deeper. Emotions then strengthens the memory. Curiosity strengthens attention. And attention is the gateway to learning. The issue was never that he couldn't learn. The issue was that the traditional table task did not match how his brain is connected to the meaning. So once we made it meaningful, the table became less scary. Because now, he knew what words were for. They were everywhere and they mattered to him now. I think another thing that I really like to use in making sense to teach the kids is by using board games. Using board games to teach academics. Now, board games are very powerful tools. Why? Because they provide structure. They provide rules. They provide turn-takings. There is visual clarity and there is also an immediate reward. For example, let's say we take a memory matching game. What it teach is visual tracking. You have to see where that particular two picture matches. It creates attention, creates your working memory, creates your patience. And then you can always modify it. Match letters instead of pictures. Then you match numbers. Then you match emotions. You can match this or you can match that. You can match anything. But you change it to a game. And then all of these board games slowly becomes a learning process from them. From just understanding how a Jenga block is flowing, how the entire system structure is, then memory games, you match two pictures, then now you match two alphabets, then now you match two identical numbers. Then learning becomes alive to them. Then you want to teach math, you can play simple dice games, you roll a dice, you count the steps, that's math. But it's physical. It is movement strengthens learning. You play snake and ladder. First you tell them that this is 1 and then you move 1 and then you see the 2 dots, that's 1, 2. So when they finally reach at the end and they have been through the entire process, they receive the reward and that increases their learning experience. So we use board game to teach them math, we use board game to help them to look at the particular symbols longer. So when they pay attention to the symbols longer, then it creates more visual memory in their brain and then they can link to the sounds and with the particular symbols later on. Another game you can play with them is a role-play game, a pretend shop. Let's say a child gives you 3 coins, then you give them a toy. That is subtraction, but it feels like play. So what we want to do is we want to build from the toy to the table, from the board game to the table, and here's the key. We don't stay at play forever. We want to try to bridge the play to the table. For example, if a child sorts out red, blue, green Lego, the next step, we draw 3 circles on the paper, red, blue, and green. And now the child sees it. Oh, it makes sense. And now the paper represents reality. So slowly, step by step, we build from play to representation to symbol, not the other way around. The next time when we see a child looks away from a worksheet, it might not be laziness. It might be fear, it might be confusion, it might be, I don't understand what this means. And when they run to the toys, it might not be avoidance. It might be, this world makes sense to me. So as educators, as parents, our job is not to force symbols. Our job is to build bridges. The child who cannot write today may design incredible structures tomorrow. The child who avoids reading may memorize swimming sequences perfectly. Learning is not one door, it's many doors. And sometimes we just need to find that one door that makes sense to them. Because when learning makes sense, interest appears, confidence grows, progress follows. And then suddenly, the child who cannot focus is the child who builds, who solves, who creates, who surprises everyone, including us. Maybe the problem was never the child. Maybe we just needed to make the task make sense.